Today's topic is how to conduct a successful kickoff. So when we look at this, kickoff is such an important part of getting the ball rolling right for the sale. So I know some of the folks have been and have attended the council level kickoff in the past. And our idea there is to kind of do the same thing. It's to get you the information that you need and to get people excited about the upcoming sale. So to sort of take and translate that to prepare for the unit kickoff, we're going to walk through just a couple of objectives today. First is what are the steps for a successful unit kickoff, and then what does a sample kickoff look like? Not every unit has to do the same exact thing for their kickoff, but we've got a kind of a good outline of what's worked, it's really, as long as we can achieve the goals of the kickoff, you're welcome to adjust and flex that outline as you see fit. We're talking about a couple of best practices that some other folks have shared with us. One of the important things that happen in the kickoff and potentially later on throughout the sale is how to make sure the scouts know how to sell. And then one of the last pieces is just to talk a little bit about best practices for actually selling. So we made 6 pretty straightforward steps for a successful kickoff. The first thing is to make it fun. It's so important for the success of the sale for everyone to get started off on the right foot and have a good time. The second one is to invite all the families out to participate. Popcorn is really it's a family fundraiser in a lot of ways. When you try to, the scout who just goes out and tries to do it on his own isn't going to have the same success as the scout who has his whole family behind him. So it's important that the families know everything that's involved in the sale, as well as the scout. So invite all the families out and invite both mom and dad to come out, invite brother and sister to come out, so that everybody knows how things are going to work. Next step for a successful kickoff is to share the plan. It's so important to have a solid plan in place before the kickoff and make sure that everybody knows what the plan is and ultimately what their part in it. As we talk a little bit more about the plan is not just dates, but how does everything work? How do all the cogs in the machine turn? So 4 and 5 are separate for a reason, engaging the parents and engaging the scouts. We want to make sure that there's a fun kickoff. We want to make sure that the families are all involved. But there are components of our kickoff that should be oriented just for our scouts and some that are specifically focused for our parents. Some of the information that parents are going to need to know, scouts really don't care about. And some of the games and fun things that the scouts might be involved with, the parents may not be interested in. So as we approach this, it's a good idea to have parts of the kickoff that are specific to the parents and specific to the scouts. And the last part is have fun. Very much relates to number 1. It's a lot easier to make it fun if you as the colonel are having fun and the people that are helping you are having fun as well. So some ways to make it fun. One is providing popcorn and snacks. The council has a popcorn machine, and during the sale there is no cost for folks to use the popcorn machine, and you're welcome to use it for a kickoff. It's a great, easy way to get people smelling that popcorn and thinking about, hey, it's time to sell popcorn and get people excited about what's going to happen. So definitely, if you haven't incorporated that in your kickoff, it's a great thing to do. Next thing is to play games or do activities to get kids thinking about the sale. Actually, a part that I've not got loaded on our website yet, but I was just shared a whole bunch of different games and activities that you can do at a kickoff, and I wanted to get those up there so folks can use them. A couple of other things are I like to think about when you go to a football game or you go to a sporting event, when you get there, a lot of times there's music playing and people are excited. Um, Music has a way of just getting the energy rolling. So having some music playing, um, being in, having a room that's decorated with some of popcorn things, just getting people excited. It really gets people in the right mindset to listen to what's going on and how everything works. Um, One of the things that I like to do too is just to be a little bit of goofy. You can see in the picture there that's up on the screen the popcorn hat and the popcorn T-shirt. There's all kinds of ways to be goofy and have fun. But if folks see that you're having fun, they're going to have fun too. So the next step we talked about was inviting everyone. Um, and the invite can come a lot of different ways. Um, Make sure you get an email out. Make sure you get you know use your social media venues. Use a hand copy, a paper copy, whatever works best for your unit. I know every pack troop crew is a little bit different in how they communicate with their families and what's received the best way. Um, but I would encourage you to, whichever way it is, make sure that everyone in the unit knows about it. Um, and when you invite them, couple simple things to include, or why do we sell? And the more specific you can be here, the better. So much of our sale goes towards covering the cost of advancement or registration, or going to camp, or for buying the new equipment that we're getting this year. Um, so you're trying to get that involved. One of the things that we encourage is that the unit, the individual, the family, that everyone sets a goal. And in this, maybe talk a little bit about how the goals are set. Talk a little bit about prizes. You don't want to give away the farm. You don't want to talk about everything, but just enough so that folks, when they come in, have a good sampling or a good idea of, hey, this is what um, we're going to discuss tonight. It's not a completely foreign concept. Um, and then you can talk a little bit about some of the incentives, especially if the pack has some unique incentives for them. So at the um, kickoff, it's important that we share the plan. So prior to the sale, um, and we've talked about this a couple different times through a couple other webinars and through some information, is that the unit should have a planning session. The pack, the troop crew should have a meeting where they decide, hey, this year we're going to go do this or we're going to do that, and we need to raise money to do this. So we need to set our goal at X number of dollars. So it's really important that that goal is already established. If we get to the kickoff and we say, okay, hey, everybody go out, and then 2 weeks later we come up and say, hey, here's our goal, it makes it a little more difficult for everybody to buy in of how important the goal is. We should communicate the goal and how each of the scouts come up with their goal. And then the last part of sharing the plan is certainly sharing the timetable. And for a colonel, this is a really crucial piece to kind of keep the ball rolling. Is hey, if we're going to do show and sells, I need everybody to sign up by such and such a date so that I can fill in with holes that we still have. Or when it comes to the take order, I need to be able to place my order with the council on such and such a date. So I need everybody to bring their order forms to this PAC meeting or to this den meeting. So it's really important to be able to share that timetable. If you have a schedule that you can share with folks that night with those couple of dates on it too, that would be great. Unfortunately, all the council-based sheets have the dates for when the sale itself is over. So the units are going to have to communicate what works best for them in order to meet all of those time deadlines. So we talked a little bit about getting everybody there. So once we've got everybody there, how do we engage the different groups? So let's talk a little bit about the parents first. I think it's so important to be able to talk to the parents about that goal, being able to communicate that plan, because then the parents know why they're selling. I remember selling candy bars for baseball, and you just showed up, you got a box of candy bars, and the expectation was that you sold the box of candy bars. but nobody talked about what does that do? Does that help buy equipment? Does that help to cover the cost of uniforms? Does it cover what does that go towards? So I think it's really important to communicate with parents what those funds are being raised for. A component or a tactic for doing that would certainly be able to share your unit's program calendar. So if in that meeting you can share, hey, this is the trip that we're going to go on in October, and we're going to have this party in December, and this is going to be what we're going to do at crossover in March, and this is what we're going to do at our Pinewood Derby. Being able to communicate that and say, hey, by participating in this year's sale and selling, you're going to be able to do this. Your scouts are going to be able to have these experiences during the course of the year, and as their parents, you're going to be involved with it as well. So I think that's really a great way to share some of those goals, as opposed to just saying, hey, we're buying new tents. It could be, hey, we're buying new tents so we can go do this and do that. So being able to share and put those goals into something that's almost tangible for the parents is I think, a real great way to help get their buy-in. The other thing to share too is how does selling popcorn and candy help their scout advance? There certainly are some things, um, if you're in a Boy Scout program, talking about salesmanship and those types of things, whether you're working on a merit badge, that are positive and help the scout advance. In Cub Scout program, we talk about being able to build self-esteem and confidence and being able to sort of enact some of those things we talk about as a scout being brave, going up and trying to get over being shy and asking that person at the show and sell or asking that neighbor going door to door if they'd be willing to buy from them to help support their year of scouting. So there are a number of great ways that it can help the scout grow, and I think being able to communicate that to parents is important too. The last thing that's important, and we've talked to new colonels about this all the time, is that you don't have to do everything. And really, this kickoff is a great place to help establish that and find folks that are willing to do some of the job. If it's somebody who can drive and help pick up popcorn, if it's somebody who can help store popcorn, if it's somebody who can help move product from show and sell to show and sell, or somebody who's willing to help collect money or compile the order forms, this is a great place to say, hey guys, these are some of the jobs or some of the help that I'm going to need as we go forward. Please sign up tonight, or get them talking about that and getting them engaged from the get-go is a good thing. Next part is about engaging scouts. Um, when we go through the sample agenda, one of the things that we actually suggest is that we break some of these sessions up. Is that actually the parents may stay in one room talking to someone about some of the details, while the scouts break off and do some of these things that I'm going to go over here. Um, Talking about all the exciting things that are going on this year and the year calendar is certainly something that can be shared between the scouts and the parents. When we start talking about prizes and incentives, that's another one that can kind of go either way. The benefit of being able to talk to scouts and parents about the incentives. So there's some incentives that resonate a little bit better with parents than with the scouts. We talk about the scholarship program. That's something that for parents resonates well. Is hey, if we sell this level, we can get into the scholarship program, and for all the years that he sells popcorn, he can get money contributed to a scholarship. Some of the other prizes, would be neat for parents to know about what some of the pack incentives are, or that at level 14 on the prize level, you can get a 16 gigabyte tablet. Sometimes parents get just as excited about the prizes as the scouts. But I think spending a little bit more time with those prizes and those incentives with the scouts on their own is also a good idea. Just to see, be able to take a look at that prize sheet. It's a great tool for helping the scout to set their goal. Instead of saying, hey, I want to sell $500 worth of stuff. If a scout says, "I want to sell $500 because of this prize or this thing," it gives a little bit more incentive for the scout to reach that goal. It helps to put that goal in a little bit different perspective. I think it's important too to do some role playing with scouts. I mentioned just a moment ago about that scout who's a little bit nervous at the show and tell to go up and talk to somebody, or nervous to go door to door. Um, it's not a bad idea to have the scouts practice that with their buddy. What are they going to say? How does it work? Just so they get comfortable with the words kind of rolling out of their mouth. Um, Other piece is engaging scouts is definitely talking about safety. Um, this is another area that you could also engage the parents, but making sure that the scouts know that they don't go out um, on their own. They always go out with a parent. They always go out with a buddy. Um, they pick safe places to go. What are some of the safety tips when you're at a show and tell? Certainly, if you're out in front of a Walmart or you're out in front of a Lowe's, somewhere where there's a lot of traffic in and out, we'll make sure the guys stay in the place that they're supposed to stay, that they're safe. Um, so those are some important things to note there too. Um, and then I always think, again, kind of going back to the idea of being goofy, to have some adults or some Boy Scouts, and if it's a Cub Scout pack, or even some older Boy Scouts if it's a Boy Scout troop, do some kind of skit or fun activity just to get the guys um, laughing and excited about what's going on with the sale. So one of the things that we said, one of the last things we said was make sure that you have fun. And I think having fun can be contagious. The scouts have fun, the adults can have fun. If the adults are having fun, the scouts are having fun. I think whatever you can do to make it fun is really important. So just to give an idea of what does a kickoff look like, we talked about some of the major components for the kickoff, but what does it look like? So here we've put together just a sample agenda, and the sample agenda actually is I think it's in the new kernel packet for that was handed out at the kickoff for units. But sample agenda, basically start with a pre-opening. So this is 15 um, this goes from really an hour before to 15 to 20 minutes before as things are getting ready to go. But make sure that you've got whatever your agenda ends up being is that you know it, and everyone who's helping you with it is familiar with it. Make sure that you've got all the pieces to the puzzle per se, and so that you're ready to go. Um, Want to be timely in your program. So it's important in looking through your agenda that you're not going to go for 2-3 hours at your kickoff. You're trying to keep it to an hour or less. Trying to be cognizant of um, the scouts and their attention span, especially for the younger scouts. You don't want to go real long time. But try to get in there, hit all the key stuff, and move forward. Next thing is, I mentioned before, have snacks. Whether it is borrowing the council popcorn maker or whether it's everybody's bringing a snack, that's a great way for things to get rolling. Um, Another part we talked about before is make sure all the decorations are up. Have the music ready to go. Have some music playing. Have the decorations up. That way it just looks inviting and looks fun. And then the last thing is have someone there to greet folks. Especially, at this point of the year when we're doing kickoffs, sometimes we have brand new people. So we want folks to be on there to greet folks and have a good time, and make sure that they feel welcome and know what they're supposed to do as the meeting's getting started. So once we get started, we'll have an opening, and it's not a bad idea to do your opening similar to what you would do for a PAC meeting. Have the Pledge of Allegiance, introduce people. As sometimes we do have our new families there, make sure they know who the key people are in the unit, especially those folks who are involved with popcorn and candy. A lot of units, the Cub Master is not, or the Scout Master is not necessarily the person who's handling the sale. So we want to make sure that everybody knows everybody else. Some other things that you can do as part of the opening or even part of the pre-opening is give some results from some contests. So maybe you do some sort of game with folks as you're getting started. and you can do a prize right then and there. Or maybe you have how much popcorn is in the popcorn jar, or maybe you have a little bit of a challenge or a game as part of the pre-opening, and you give a recognition or a prize um, there as part of the opening, just to kind of again have that fun and tone and have everybody excited about what's going on. So after we get the opening, this is where we would suggest that you split the group. You take the scouts to one area, and you have the parents in the other area. So we're going to start first by talking a little bit about the parent meeting. So at the parent meeting, we talk about our year. I won't go on that any more than what I've already done, but share the year. We want to talk about having one or making this be the major fundraiser for the year. We recognize that this may not always be the one and only fundraiser that you end up doing, but we want it to be the major one instead of having month to month of fundraisers throughout the year. You want to communicate the plan, and this including talking about the different elements of the plan. Is your unit doing show and tell? Are you doing show and deliver? Are you doing take order? Are you doing online sales? Are you doing everything? You want to make sure that the parents know that. And if, hey, we need people to sign up for a show and sell, we've got to be aware that sometimes we have folks in the audience that have no idea what a show and sell actually is. We're going to talk with parents a little bit about the prize program, especially mentioning things like, again, unit incentives or the scholarship program. So once we bring, then after we get through all of that, we bring the scouts back. So talking about the scout meeting, what do the scouts do? Again, talk about prizes, incentives, rewards. It's a really great thing to be able to do. Go over the safety items, and make sure to go over courtesy points too. Sometimes we forget about making sure that the guys say thank you, or how do they take care of the booth if they're there for a show and sell, or their product for Wagon Dragon. And then it's also good. One of the things that I've seen with some folks being very successful is distributing the order forms and the sales brochures so that the scouts can work on setting their goal. Let the scouts kind of set that goal before they go back to their parents. So when the scout says, hey, I really, really want this, they go back to mom and dad and say, hey, this is what I really, really want. And it's just a neat way for the scouts to help determine the direction of where they want the sale to go. So as we go, also during the course of this, whether it's during the individual scout section or during the parent section as we're teaching our scouts, is we want to make it fun. We also want to encourage them to know that it's more than just popcorn and candy. Some people think, as we go out there, we're just selling this popcorn product, we're just selling this candy product, but we're ambassadors for scouting, and we're selling scouting. So it's important to be able to communicate that so that folks understand that as well. So as we're teaching our scouts to sell, this is a real basic script, and you can change this, tweak this, but I think it's a good starting point for anybody. This could fit on a little index card for the scout as they're going around until they get comfortable with it. But simply it introduces the scout, says where they're from, and says that they're selling popcorn and why they're selling popcorn. So for a Cub Scout, it might be because they want to go to camp, or they might want to participate in the Pinewood Derby, or it's because they're trying to work on a scholarship. For a Boy Scout, it might be specifically talking about going on a high adventure or earning a scholarship. And then, what is their goal? Hey, I want to sell $2,500 so that I can earn this scholarship, and tie all that together. And then finally asking for that customer, the potential customer, to help. Too often, people come, and I've experienced this. People come in door to door, or people stopping me as you're going to the store and say, "Hey, do you want to buy my product?" It it doesn't carry the same weight as talking to the scout as to for the scout to share why it's important to buy the popcorn or buy the candy. So a couple other things to talk about as we teach our scouts to sell is some best practices, I guess, if you will. So got this picture of scouts that are set up in front of a building there, and they They've done a really great job actually in setting up for show and sell. They've got a high table. They've got product prominently displayed on the table. Looks really sharp. They've got a banner or a sign there that's clearly identifying what unit that they're with. They've got their extra product all neatly stacked underneath the table, and they're standing. I think one of the things when I see guys either selling popcorn or other places is that the scouts are sitting behind the table. They've got their phone out or their tablet out, and they're playing on that, and they wonder why people don't come up and buy popcorn. It's because this is really the right setup. Is you want to be welcoming and inviting, and you want to be able to pay attention to those customers that are potential customers that are coming by. So as you're setting up show and sells, having information about your unit, having pictures about your unit, scouts having a good time, and having the scouts up and out of a seat engaged. This is really a great picture of what it looks like or what it can look like to set up for a show and sell. Additionally, here's for a wagon dragon. You see here, looking at a couple safety tips here, is that the guys aren't walking around by themselves. They're in a group. They're with buddies. They're in uniform, and I think anytime the guys are selling, being in uniform is the preferred way. Makes it very clearly identifiable what unit you're with, that you are a scout. Again, here the products are nice and easy to get to, and look good. So just a thought or a good way to go about doing the show and deliver program. Take order. Now in this picture, the scouts actually got a little bit of product. Not necessarily a problem. I know that there are some scouts that in the past have had kind of open house nights where they invite mom's friends and dad's friends and grandma and grandpa over to the house, and they have some samples of the product, and they've got their take order form there, and the scout gives a little bit of gives his sales pitch, and they do the take order right then and there. So really, but being in uniform and knowing your product, knowing what you're selling is a super plus when you're doing the take order. Online's a little bit different since the interface is not face to face, but still it's important to think about the way that you're presenting yourself online. Using the online sales, scouts can go in and they can send emails to family, friends, um, folks that parents approve to be able to send them out to, and actually send a personalized email out to them, inviting them to participate and support them in the sale. This year, also, scouts can get personalized links that they can send in text message, and that they can put on social media sites such as Facebook to advertise that they are selling popcorn and link them directly to their scout account in the TrailsEnd system for online sales. There's a couple other good resources online as you're trying to get folks talking about the kickoff and what they need to do. From trailsend.com, there's a specific leader section, and they have a sample kickoff video of some tips there for the kickoff. And then they have a couple other videos that are really good about talking about some of the other pieces involved with the sale. Another resource is certainly me here at the office. If you've got questions, thoughts, or ideas, I'm always anxious to hear ideas about what folks are doing so they can share them with other people. You can certainly share those with me via email or via phone. Be happy to grab those thoughts from you and share those with others, or share with you what others have shared with me. So pretty much that includes the basic pieces of the kickoff. In involving all of those components. Making sure that the scouts know, how do I set up for a show and sell? How do I set up for these elements of the sale? Maybe even having demonstrations of those set up the night of your kickoff of what your show and sell table should look like. What your wagon dragon sale should look like. It just helps everybody understand how all of that works. So thank you very much for being part of the call today. And in just a second here, we'll take questions.